Okay, so now it's time for our featured speaker. And those of you that have been coming to our events for a while know that we have a tradition here at the GNA. Pat, wait, hold on. We have to send you out. Pat, what's our tradition here at the GNA?
Oh, you gotta go down the hall, and we're gonna introduce you. You're gonna come running in.
Down the hall to the right, and outside where it's freezing cold.
No,
it's a very cold time of year right now, right?
You're in a hurry. I can do that. So now do I exit stage left?
So yes. Kevin Carney, we sent our featured speaker all the way to the back, so start heading on back there.
You got it.
And you know why we do that, Kevin Carney?
So that I make a good entrance.
So you make that grand entrance! Thank you so much! Who's awake here today?
We got to greet him on level 10.
Who's really concerned about getting their PG&E bill next month? Oh, who's really concerned here about getting their PG&E bill next month? I guess nobody is. I certainly am, because I've been freezing up using my heat. Anyway. Okay, so today's featured speaker is Kevin Carney. He is with a company called BizLeads Organically Generated. Who's here because of the presentation topic this week? It's phenomenal. Okay? And at this week's meeting, Kevin will speak to us on getting more traffic to your website and generating more leads. Who wants more traffic on their website to generate more leads? If you don't raise your hand, I have to ask why you're here. Okay.
To get out of the house?
Get out of the house.
To get out of the house, like Jenny said, right? Okay. So I'm going to read a little brief bio here on Kevin, and then we're going to have him come running in here, right? Okay. Kevin Carney, along with a business partner, started a remodeling and handyman service in December of 2009. And like all other small businesses, they were looking for more customers and projects. Kevin then met Bill Blue, who taught anyone interested on how to attract your audience to your website. Since then, Kevin has implemented the system for his website. So here's a little example on what's happened during a 5-month period for Kevin here, okay?
Actually, I talk about that in my pitch if you want to.
Oh, you're going to actually mention that?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll skip that. We're not going to get there. That's been on the event page there, but we're going to go ahead and skip that, and Kevin will talk about the success rate in his presentation. So Kevin is now changing the remodeling firm into a lead generation and business consulting firm for other contractors. He is now working with Bill, creating lead generation for other businesses. In this presentation, Kevin will explain how he did it and how you can do it too. Although this is not very hard to do, it requires a commitment of time and energy that most small businesses have difficulty committing to. How many of you would love to do some of the things you need to do to run your business, but you just don't have the time, right? So we're looking for the right people to outsource it to, right? Okay? Hiring an internet lead generation service is expensive, right? Okay? Which is why most small businesses do not use these services. Fortunately, Kevin and Bill have figured out how to provide effective lead generation services in a way that is affordable for the small business owner. So since we have a pretty nice crowd here today, I'd like to all to please stand up and rise to your feet. Please stand up and rise to your feet and give a big warm GNA welcome to Kevin! Come on, Kevin! Come on, Kevin! Thank you for being here. It's all yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Elias. Thank you, everybody. I'm pleased by the size of the crowd. The reason I didn't run to be in front of the stage on my camera was I gave this presentation last night in Palo Alto, and they kept us there late. So I got home really late, and then I was so excited by the response I didn't sleep until 2 o'clock. So I'm a little bit tired, so bear with me. So what we do is we provide your business visibility through your website, and we generate leads for your business through your website. I call what we do inbound marketing, and I'll explain in a few minutes what that means. I have a couple of case studies, and then I'll explain how we did it, and the way we did it is the same way that you would do it, or the same way that anyone would do it. So I'm Kevin Carney, and I work with Bill Blue, who taught me the core part of the recipe when I first met him about 2.5 years ago. So the first question is, how do your prospects find you? Jenny will help you close a sale. In order to have a sales conversation, you need a prospect, you need a lead. So how do your prospects find you?
Word of mouth.
Anybody?
Word of mouth.
Referrals. Word of mouth and referrals is relatively common. volume of business you need is relatively small, that can bring you enough leads to keep you going. This particular presentation is targeted towards startup entrepreneurs who still believe that word of mouth is going to grow their business, when in fact it won't. So my first statement to them, what is your growth model? Word of mouth is not a growth strategy. And even when I pitch this to startup entrepreneurs and I ask them, what is your growth model? 9 out of 10 times they say word of mouth. What I have is going to go viral. And every once in a while that does happen. But you probably have a better chance of being struck by lightning. Marketing is a growth strategy, and inbound marketing really is a growth strategy. And I'll explain in a little bit what, why, and how. What we do is repeatable and sustainable. I'm not the only one to have done it. I'm not the only one who built the system too, who was able to do it effectively. So, what is inbound marketing? In order to answer that question, I'm first going to talk about what is outbound marketing. Outbound marketing is when you send your message out into the world to be seen by people who may or may not be interested. And these are the traditional forms of advertising that we are all familiar with. Radio commercials, TV commercials, ads in the paper, ads in magazines, signs on buses, billboards. On average, each one of us is exposed to 4,000 ad impressions every day, and they are increasingly less effective because we learn to tune them out and filter them out. Every once in a while, one will catch our interest if it's something that we're into, and that's what the advertisers are counting on. Inbound marketing is the exact opposite of that. It is much cheaper to make it easy to be found than it is for you to go find your prospects. And how they differ is that in outbound marketing, you are sending your message to anybody whom you think might be appropriate. In inbound marketing, you're doing stuff on your website to make it authoritative for the stuff that you talk about, so that when people go online to search for how to solve a problem or answer a question, your website shows up in the results. Okay, we're going to cover that. To the best of my knowledge, what we call inbound marketing can only be done on the web. I know of no other way in which it can be done. Opt-in email, maybe, but winding up your website to become authoritative for your audience is really the way to go. So case study number 1 is Bill himself, the guy who taught those of us who wanted to learn how to do this. Bill has a dozen blogs on which he sells advertising. When I gave this pitch last night, he was there. It turns out he has now rolled over, in the life of these blogs, which is about 7 years, he's rolled over 104 million pages. And he's the only professional blogger to individually roll over 100 million pages. Huffington Post is a blog, but it's a small army of people who are generating content. Bill now averages 2.5 page views per second, and his basic business model is the sale of advertising. He's like a magazine or a newspaper. Attract readers, sell advertising, that's the business model. And he attracts so many viewers and he sells so much advertising that this is the primary source of income to his household. Case study number 2 is me. 2.5 years ago, I have this remodeling and handyman company, and we don't have enough customers, we don't have enough leads. This Meetup passes my Facebook stream. How to attract 1 million unique visitors to your website. I'm free that night, I go. I meet Bill. I take copious notes. It sounds reasonable. I had, in the course of owning a prior company and the current company, I had been to maybe 5 or 6 SEO companies, none of whom ever brought me a lead. They all had reasons why I should pay them next month and why things were getting better, but none of them had ever brought me a lead. I was just writing them checks. So Solera Home Improvement sells remodeling and handyman services, and this was my experience of implementing Bill's system for the 5-month period in which I did it. We experienced a 53-fold increase in monthly website visitors. Before I started, we had slightly more than 100 a month. 5 months later, we had in excess of 6,000. A 41-fold increase in monthly website page views from just under 300 to just under 11,000. A 30-fold increase in quality leads. A quality lead in the context of a remodeling business, to me, is not someone who says, I want to talk to you. A quality lead is someone who says, I want to bid. I'm remodeling my bathroom, I want to make an appointment, I want to bid. Initially, our website would generate 1 bid request a month. 5 months later, our website is generating 1 bid request a day. So I'm driving around literally doing 1 or more bids per day, because I'm not doing it 7 days a week. And it kept our schedule very, very full. Now this is the best part. Not only did it attract my crowd to my website and generate more leads than any other form of advertising did during this economic downturn, but our close rate doubled. So the prospects I met through other forms of advertising closed at the rate of 10%. The prospects I met through these inbound leads closed at 20%. My belief is that's because they found me while they were doing research for their remodeling project. So before they even met me, they're committed to a project. They're doing research on materials and design and looking for a contractor. So there's no convincing them that a remodel might make sense for them. Before I even met them, they're doing one with or without me. So the fact that the close rate doubled, to me, is the best part of the whole thing. Case study number 3. This is a guy named Sven, lives somewhere in the Central Valley, and he sells used fire hoses and used fire equipment. The fire hoses are used for drip irrigation on farms in the Central Valley, something I personally never would have thought of. So he is a commercial client of ours today. This commercial offering has been in existence now since September, and he's one of the first customers. So even in that short time period, 85% of his high-ranking traffic are the posts that we publish via this recipe. Now, September to now is not long enough to wind it up fully, but he's well underway. We've seen a standard progression that happens every time we do this, and he's on that standard progression. Case study number 4. Liz wrote an illustrated children's book about the Bible. I subsequently learned that there are 66 books of the Bible. I didn't know that. And she wants to sell these books to people. So she learned Bill's recipe, and after 6 months, her website averages 35,000 monthly page views and 20,000 monthly visitors. Now Liz never learned or implemented conversion strategies. So I met Liz when Bill called me and says, Kevin, can you come meet with Liz and talk about conversion strategies? So now she's implementing conversion strategies to actually sell books. But interestingly enough, they have a traffic spike on their website every Saturday night, like clockwork. So the Sunday, a traffic spike on their website every Saturday night. So Sunday school teachers, in preparation for class tomorrow, have learned that this website is a resource to them. Case study number 5, a guy named Dave. Dave wanted to follow Bill's model of generate a blog, gather an audience, and sell advertising. Dave is American, his wife is Chinese, there's a lot of cross-cultural communications. Dave blogs about English language idioms so that native Chinese speakers can understand what is meant by phrases such as step up to the plate, apples to apples, right? Because unless you're raised in this culture, those phrases can be very confusing. So Dave sells advertising. After 8 months, 25,000 monthly web visitors. Now something very interesting happened today. In the course of explaining English language idioms to Chinese speakers, Dave got asked if he could tutor native Chinese speakers in English. He does this over Skype, and he gets paid to do it. Right? Now Dave is a teacher. Now the school where his kid goes needs someone to fill in on biology class. Now Dave's a teacher, and he's a substitute teacher at his kid's school. And all this happened All this started because he was blogging about idioms. Now, idioms may not sound like the most impressive topic in the world, but it's enough to drive advertising and drive other sources of income for them. Okay, so how is it done? I'm going to throw the whole thing up there. So there's two things that you do simultaneously. First, you attract traffic. You attract your crowd to your website. I refer to it as gather your audience, and this is Bill's expertise, is how to do that. I refer to that as being 98% of success, and in a minute I'm going to contradict that statement. So additionally, you have to convert some of them into contacting you so that you can follow up with them. Conversion is a linguistic nudge, and I'll talk more about that later, but it's the same as any form of advertising. There's nothing special about this, and I refer to that as being 2% of success. The reality is, the old Pareto principle comes into play here. So 80% of your time is spent writing something, and 20% of your time is writing it persuasively. But the reason I call it 98-2 is if you don't have traffic to your website, conversion is irrelevant. Right? You got to have your audience there in order for there to be someone to convert.
Right.
So, who is Bill Baloo? First, I'm going to play this neat little video. I don't know if anybody recognizes who the character in the video is. He's not Bill Baloo. Does anybody know?
Is that you?
No, I can't see it.
Has anybody seen the movie? In fact, I wouldn't mind if you would zoom up on that so you can catch it on the
Oh yeah, I did. Sure did.
But has anybody seen the movie and or heard the expression, bend it like Beckham?
Oh yeah.
Okay, his name is David Beckham. He's the Beckham. Most recently, he played for the LA Galaxy, and this little video was shot while they were on the beach somewhere in Los Angeles, filming a commercial for, I believe, Pepsi. Because I can't imagine why a high-performance athlete like David Beckham would actually drink a can of Pepsi unless they were shooting a commercial for money, right? So, unfortunately, when I imported this video into my PowerPoint, I lost the audio. So I am going to narrate it as best I can. So, they're taking a break from shooting, he's just goofing off, and then a voice off camera says, "Hey David, can you hit that can over there?" He looks at the can and he says, "Yes, easy." And then the guy says, "Can you hit all three?" And he says, "Oh, that's even easier." Okay, so here's the first one. And not only does he hit the can, he drops right in the can. And that's about 40 yards away.
Wow. Jeez.
That one's a little bit farther. Drops it right in the can. This last one is about 50 yards away.
Niners could probably use him. Jeez.
The Niners can't afford him.
You're probably right on that. Wow.
So he shrugs his shoulders and he says, "See, I told you." Now what you're not hearing is that the cameraman is flipping out. Right? Like he's really having a hard time believing what he just saw. Right? So the question is, what does this video have to do with Bill Baloo?
Yeah, what does that have to do with Bill?
There's an expression that it turns out is attributed to a guy named Dizzy Dean who was somehow involved in baseball.
Yeah,
and the expression is, if you can do it, it's not bragging.
It's not what?
Right? If you can do it, it's not bragging. It ain't bragging if you can do it.
Right. Right.
Right? So that's what this video has to do with Bill Baloo. When David Beckham said, "Sure, no problem," it sounded like a rather arrogant statement. And then he did what most of us would consider to be impossible and made it look easy. Bill Baloo has done what most of us would consider to be impossible and made it look easy in a different field of expertise. So Bill is a professional blogger. The ad revenue from his blogs is the primary source of income to their family. Sells advertising. Now it's 104+ million page views. He's had 1 million+ page views across each of 9 different topics. And they're not the most exciting topics in the world. Christianity, education, Asia, Bill lived in Japan for 20 years. Asia, Japan. He's very, in fact, Bill says that his Japanese is now better than his English because, you know, it's just Israel. His wife was born in China. He blogs about the environment, blogs about India, blogs about blogging, and blogs about cricket. Cricket happened because apparently he was in India, he was locked in a room for 10 hours, couldn't get out, there was a cricket match on. Apparently cricket matches go on for days, and at the end of the day, he could follow it, right, and he started writing about it. You know, caught his interest, right? Cricket is one of his more important, one of his more popular blogs now because cricket is so popular in other parts of the world. Bill's had 5 individual posts, have in excess of 100,000 page views per post. He's had 1 post in excess of 250,000, but I didn't put it on here. Bill's had 150 plus posts have in excess of 10,000 views. It's generally considered that if something is seen by 10,000 plus people, it's gone viral. Well, all Bill did was publish an article on a blog, and 10,000 people found it. So technically, he's had little articles he wrote go viral, even though they didn't go anywhere. People came to it in response to having filled out something on a search engine box. Okay, but what matters the most is, how do you do it? And I want to emphasize this next point over and over again. There is nothing that prevents you from duplicating the results that I have. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes perseverance. I did it, Dave did it, Liz did it, Bill did it, other people have done it, you can do it too. I'm going to talk to all of these in greater length on different slides. Attracting traffic is keyword research / market research, the generation of content, the encouragement of backlinks, engagement, which is nothing more than if somebody talks to you, you talk to them, and conversion. Conversion is primarily a function of limiting choices and using language effectively. In the spirit of full disclosure, I do not consider myself to be an expert in either attracting traffic or conversion. Bill's an expert in attracting traffic. I listened to what he said, I did it, it worked. I listened to other people who are deemed to be experts in conversion. I did what they said. It worked. So very much, I am implementing other people's good ideas, and there's no reason that you can't either. So, keyword research. I find the phrase keyword research to be odd and unusual in its own right. Since the beginning of commerce, merchants have been looking for ways to test markets before entering them. So back in ancient time, a merchant might have a stall at a bazaar in one city, and he'll give some merchandise to somebody and say, go to the next city, see what sells, and come back and tell me. And that could be a 1-year round trip in order to get the feedback. Over time, we've learned how to make that process shorter and shorter. Well, keyword research, which is combing through 10 years worth of Google AdWords data, allows us to do that market research in an incredibly short amount of time with an incredibly small investment of time and money. So it answers the ultimate question, which is, does anybody want to buy what you want to sell? And we can answer that question very quickly. It's kind of a marketer's dream what Google has done for us. The important aspects of keyword research is, are the words in the content that you're publishing relevant to your business to the point where it's going to attract your audience? Do those phrases have a high enough level of search volume to make them worth pursuing? Do those phrases have a high enough level of commercialization? And this is a mistake that some business owners make. They think that because a phrase is commonly searched for, that there's a business opportunity. But if the phrase you think is attractive to your business is commonly searched for, but not one in which money changes hands, there's no business opportunity there. And with keyword research, which I call market research, it's very easy to answer that question. And the last one is competition. When you bring your website online, you are going into competition with websites that are already there. You want to be careful about which competitions you join and which ones you don't, because some will take you a lot longer to win than others. So as much as possible, you want to go where the low-hanging fruit is. Content. Now this is where I lose people. It will become clear and obvious in a minute why that is true. The first point I want to make, people linguistically refer to websites and blogs as if they were different. I would like to encourage all of you to get over that. Right? A website is a blog is a website. People generally consider the pages on the website that are updated very infrequently to be the website, and the pages on the website that are updated very frequently to be the blog. Search engines do not know that arbitrary distinction. They see web pages that contain content and links. They see the rate at which pages are updated, and they are unable to make the distinction that we make. So think like a search engine is a funny term, because search engines don't think, right? But try and think like a search engine and just give up these arbitrary distinctions. I've never spoken to anybody, and I've had people argue against me, that the New York Times website is a blog. It's like, no, it's not a blog, it's a website. Well, it has all the characteristics of a blog. It's got lots of articles that are updated relatively frequently, but we made this distinction in our mind that it's not a blog because it's a newspaper. The Washington Post, the New York Times, Huffington Post, blah, 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 the Chicago Times Tribune, they are all blogs. Your websites are blogs. Get used to erasing that distinction. Okay, the basic recipe for attracting your audience to your website is publishing a high volume of content in small chunks at frequent intervals for a long time. That's it. When you do that, they come. First, you get the attention of the search engines, and then the search engines get the attention of the people. And there's a progression that we've seen over and over again that I'll talk to in a little bit. So I'm going to address these questions in a few minutes. And if I forget, by all means, interrupt me and ask, but how high is high volume? How short is short? And how frequent is frequent? And people typically don't like the answer to these questions. Because high volume is really high, short is relatively short, and frequent is very frequent. In addition, you want to write stuff that people want to read. Search engine optimization is striking the right balance between what the search engines deem to be of quality and what people deem to be of quality. Search engine quality is not subjective at all. It is absolutely objective. In theory, there's 220 things you do to a post to make it of high quality. In reality, stick to 20 of them, and you'll get 90% of the result. And that is completely objective, repeatable, there's no guesswork involved. However, you still have to maintain a readership, so you have to write stuff that is subjectively of high quality to people. You want to format each post for good SEO, which is the objective part of quality that the search engines pay attention to. Generating content for your website to gather your audience is a grind. There's no other word to describe it. This is a chart, an experiment that Bill did 6 months ago, 12 months ago, where he had 3 websites, and amongst these 3 websites, around 3 a day. 533 posts for 3 months is around 6 a day. So, not exactly, but roughly twice as much. But look at that. When you publish twice as often, you have 5 times as many visitors. Wasn't that interesting? And alternatively, when you publish half as often, you have 1/5 as much traffic. I don't know why this happens, but that this happens is indisputable. It happens over and over and over again every time someone tries this. However, most people say, Kevin, are you kidding me? I got to publish 3 posts a day, 5 posts a day. My Solera home improvement thing, those results I had that impressed people to no end, I published a post every 8 hours for 5 months. And that's what happens. That's what it takes. You just got to grind through it. But when you persevere and you generate that content and you keep on that publishing schedule, your audience not only arrives, but your audience arrives in significant numbers. It will basically solve your problem of lead generation for the rest of your life if you put in the effort for the first 7 to 12 months. Links. Links are the basic currency of search. The basic algorithm of Google is called PageRank. And that leads people to believe that what Google ranks is web pages. What Google ranks is links. The reason it's called PageRank is because it was invented by a guy named Larry Page, and it's named after him. It just caused a little bit of confusion. But links are the basic currency of search. Links are very, very, very important to the algorithm, but sites with improper backlinks are punished by the search engines. In fact, if I forget it was Panda or Penguin, but if you have a high quantity of low quality links because you purchased them from a backlink farm, your website got delisted overnight. Backlinks occur naturally, and you let them. If you're impatient, there are things that you can do. You can find websites that talk about the same topic that you talk about and are the equivalent authority, and you can leave comments that link back to your website. And I wasn't patient, and I did this, and many of those links are still in place. Another point to emphasize is if links are the basic currency of search, which they are, the way you get links is to give links. And to a search engine, when you have an outbound link from something you wrote to another website, that looks like a citation. You are referencing somebody else's work. So you want to find other websites that talk about the stuff that you talk about and have a similar level of authority. If you're talking about cars, you don't want to link to Ford. That website has too much authority. You want to link to the guy who has a blog about Mustangs. You want to link to the guy who talks about rebuilding engines. The reason you want to link to websites of similar authority is all of us bloggers out there trying to raise visibility on our website, we want backlinks, and we look for them. And when we see them, we reciprocate. I do it, other people do it. Now anecdotally, I don't have any hard, fast data, but anecdotally, my experience is every 50 outlinks, every 50 outbound links seems to result in 1 inbound link. So people out there are noticing the incoming links, and as a favor, they reciprocate back to you. So every time you publish an article, you need 1 outbound link to a website of a similar topic and a similar level of authority. And by doing that, over time, you raise the authority of all of the websites with whom you exchange links. Engagement. Comments will come. And I think the next slide talks about the progression of comments, so I'll get to that. You want to manage your comments effectively. So you don't want to respond to a comment right away. When you initially publish a post, that's an update to your website. When somebody leaves a comment on that post, that's an update to your website. When you reply to the comment on that post, that's an update to your website. If they make a comment in response to your comment, that's an update to your website. So as your website becomes more popular, the Google bot will come by more often. And you can find out how often the Google bot comes by, exactly when, by installing something called SiteMeter that's free. So get your blog, install SiteMeter, and when you go into the detail, they stand out like a sore thumb because literally it is googlebot.com. So at first, the Google bot will come by once a week, every 5 days, every 4 days. After a while, Google bot comes by every couple hours, right? So in terms of comments, approve the comment, wait until the Google bot comes by, reply to the comment. Hopefully the guy will I got lost in my sequence. So approve the comment, wait for the Google bot, respond to the comment. Now when you respond to the comment, answer their comment with a question. And if you're lucky, they'll see the question and they'll answer the question. Wait until the Google bot comes by again and then respond to their answer. You know, milk that comment for all it's worth. Because what makes your website authoritative to the search engines is partially what content is on it and partially how often it's updated. So you want the Google bot to notice these updates as often as possible. So again, answer their comments with questions. Other social media is useful for attracting backlinks and attracting people, but I don't spend a lot of effort on it. Backlinks to your website are of value, and some social media platform backlinks do not count. They have a concept called do follow, and do follow is either turned on or off. So on Facebook, backlinks don't count. On LinkedIn, backlinks don't count. On Twitter, backlinks count. So what you want to do is you want to write an article on your website and then tweak the URL. You can shorten it, by all means you should, but tweak the URL.
And is that because of the competition between Google and Facebook, which has become pretty intense, that they block these?
From a technical perspective, it's that Facebook and LinkedIn have turned off do follow, which any blogger can do.
Okay.
So on my blog, my website, do follow is turned on, and I have a $99 software tool that will find blogs for me and tell me if do follow is on or off, and that's how I know where to leave comments. So why did Facebook turn it off? I don't know, they just did. It doesn't matter to me either. It's just, it doesn't do me any good. Twitter does me good. Pinterest and these other ones, I don't know. I actually don't spend a lot of time on social media because I've never met anyone whose social media updates brought them the level of traffic that this basic recipe does. So if I've got time to do a couple of tweets, I've got time to write an article. And that's where I put my interest. Okay, the process of engagement. And this is very interesting. First, the spam comments arrive. Spam comments are comments with backlinks to products and services that are completely unrelated. They're typically counterfeit purses, counterfeit bags, weight loss pills, etc., right? However, you want the spam comments. Because if the spammers can't find you, nobody can find you. So when you first get your spam comment, break out the champagne. I mean, you are on your way.
So you're saying I should approve all that spam I'm getting?
No, don't approve it.
Oh.
But be thankful that it showed up. Don't approve any of it. Yeah, spam comments. When your website links to other websites of completely different topics, it actually counts against you. So do not approve the spam comments, but be thankful that the spammers found you. Because if you don't get to step 1, you don't get to step 2. And step 2 is what I call backlink comments. And the difference between spam comments and backlink comments is backlink comments are on topic. You start to get comments from interior designer websites, from other remodelers, from plumbers. Right? And those ones you do approve, because those backlinks are on topic for what you're talking about. And then, and this is where things take off on their own, you actually get real comments, real questions, and real engagement. And I've had some very interesting comments and questions by people who really wanted to know. For some reason, every once in a while, I get a rash of people in sub-Saharan Africa who want to learn more about residential electricity and want to know what books to read. Every maybe 4 months, I get some set of these comments in quick succession. My favorite was a guy in North Dakota. I guess I wrote some good stuff about electricity, but a guy in North Dakota literally left a comment on my website and says, I have to run a 600 amp three-phase service, 500 feet. I need to know what gauge wire and how big the conduit is. How am I supposed to know? You know, my articles are all about residential electricity. But I'm glad he left a comment. I approved it. Now I got a response. So I spent about 15 minutes. I Googled for it. I mean, he could have done it himself, but I'm glad he did it. Googled for it, found the chart that explained it, did the math, blah, blah, blah. Gave him a comment. I found this chart. Here's my math. Please check my math. I don't know if I'm right. So when you get those kind of comments, respond to it. Now, as this happens, there are some websites. We know a guy named Tyler who has a website called Sly Bald Man. And it's about being bald, the issues of being bald. He has only And I'm going to say only because in his context it's interesting. He has only 50,000 monthly visitors, but those 50,000 monthly visitors generate in excess of 1 million monthly page views. And he doesn't generate any of it. These guys are just exchanging comments and discussion about the issues of being home. Now he sells advertising, which was his intention.
We're at 40 minutes right now, so we got to wrap it in about 5 minutes, Kevin.
Okay, I'll do my best. Conversion is not the same for every business. For example, if you're a realtor, conversion probably means get the email address. If you're a remodeling company, conversion means get the contact information to call them with. If you're an emergency service like glass replacement, conversion probably means pick up the phone and call. And conversion starts at the search engine result. A lot of people don't realize that you can set this. Although the details of how, we don't have time for that. Okay, so a lot of SEO does not work because what once worked no longer does. Those are referred to as hat tricks. Backlink farms no longer work. And just going into your website and setting some simple settings, the days when that was effective are long gone as well. And one of the problems is anybody can be an SEO consultant. You just have some cards printed up, you're an SEO consultant. And whether you've actually ever done it or not is irrelevant. You read a book, you can teach from the book. There's a lot of guys out there doing it. This is a dialogue that I've had, I don't know how many times before I meet Bill. These companies would call me to sell me search placement. The standard narrative is hardly anybody knows how to do this in the whole world. We have one. No, you cannot talk to them. No, we cannot tell you how we do it. That's our secret sauce. We guarantee you first page exposure, which by the way is not worth coveting. What you want to covet is visitors and pages. Don't stress about ranking. I could explain why that is, but we're running out of time. And they always talk about how cheap it is. It's not that cheap. And if you don't do this, your competitors will. So how we do it is basically the stuff that we spoke about. The only thing I'm going to address here that we didn't talk about is make sure that your website makes it easy to contact you. I don't know how many business websites you got to dig around and find how to contact you. So have a contact us form on the sidebar all the time, and in your articles have links that say contact us to go to a form that's easy to get to, and don't ask for a lot of information. 4 fields, maybe no more than 5. And listen, learn, adapt, because of the nature of this form of marketing, you can look in the analytics and see which articles are popular. You can look in the comments and see what people are talking about. So it's an unprecedented level of feedback between you and your audience. Okay, how we can help. We provide 2 turnkey solutions. One is called inbound marketing. The other one, which I'm going to talk about a little bit more, is doing inbound marketing in co-ops. That's how you make it affordable to small business. We also will teach you how to do it yourself for only $20 a month. So inbound marketing is appropriate for businesses, existing businesses with a run rate of about $1 million plus a year who can afford to drop 20 grand on a marketing effort in the first 12 months. No small business owner has ever said, yeah, sign me up. Right? They all say, I don't spend $20,000 a year on any kind of marketing, or all my marketing. You know, what else you got, right? So what else we have is cooperative inbound marketing, where we do the same thing in co-ops. So let's say a number of businesses all service the wedding industry. Get 10 of them together, 1 dress shop, 1 venue, 1 caterer, 1 cake place, put them all into 1 co-op, and then dole out the leads based on the type of lead it is, the type of request it is. So co-ops, this is no different from when farmers join together to raise their aggregate volumes to bring down the individual costs of seed and fertilizer and all that kind of stuff, right? Same basic concept. They can go down to $200 a month if you get enough people in the co-op. You know, the more people in the co-op, the less it is per month for everybody. We can teach you how to do it for $20 a month. Now bear in mind that when you do the $20 a month thing, you generate the content. When you do inbound marketing or co-op inbound marketing, we generate the content. You just write us the checks, we take care of it. So, oops, back to Bill. There is no substitute for just grinding it out. The days of easy SEO are over. Even keyword research is becoming less and less effective as the internet gets more and more crowded. The low-hanging fruit has, for the most part, been picked. Right? So you're in it for a swap. So Bill, it took him 14 months to do his first million page views. As time went by, each million took less and less time to achieve, and now he does a million page views every 6 days. So it builds over time. So back to you. It takes 7 to 12 months to wind up your website, and there is no shortening. There is no doing this in a 3-month duration. It takes 7 to 12 months, and what we've seen over and over again is your traffic will grow slowly, 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 and then boom. Sometime between 7 to 12 months, it jumps. The search engines realize this website is here to stay, and your audience comes in droves. So initially, leads will trickle in, and then after 7 to 12 months, you have a steady flow that you can count on. So many people are really worried about tomorrow. I want to encourage everybody to worry about next year as well. So yes, you need leads and you need business tomorrow. If you wind this up in 7 to 12 months, you'll have a steady stream of leads for the rest of your life. But you got to put in the time to wind it up first. It is, however, sustainable and repeatable. We and others have done this over and over again. And this is my last slide. I am now done.
Yeah. So if you do it yourself, it's $20 a month. And if you want to do the generation of business, what would it be?
Well, if you get it into a co-op, the cost of a co-op is either $2,000 or $3,000 a month, depending on the size of the co-op. And then you just split that by how many people. So if we can get 10 people into a $2,000 co-op, that's $200 a month each.
Okay. But there's no other options.
The days of the cheap and dirty high rankings are over. And I predict that 2 years from now, keyword research will be a thing of the past. Because the low-hanging fruit will all have been picked.
So for $20 a month, you actually teach us what to do?
Yeah, in detail.
In detail.
And well, you have to do it in detail. There's no, it's kind of like being pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not.
That includes
Do it.
For people who are slow learners, you continue to support $20 a month.
Slow learner.
He'll just be paying $20 a lot longer than those of us that are
I mean, if you're a slow learner, just learn a little slower, but do it.
Okay.
Just do it. Borrow phrase from night, just do it.
Is your concept individualized when you're saying that you're instructing individuals on how to put these things together? Are you sharing your time on a group basis to do that, or on an individual basis?
No, it's on a group basis, and it's in an online forum. So in the online forum, you have access to the recipe, you have access to all the other members of the forum, and you have access to Bill. Bill prefers to communicate online, which is why being a professional blogger comes so naturally. Somebody even asked me, does he ever leave his office? Like, yes, he leaves his office, but he spends a lot of time on his computer.
If he comes to GNA.
What's that?
If he comes to GNA, he leaves his office.
Well, we did this presentation last night in Palo Alto, and he was with me. Where does he live?
And is there a commitment on the number of months you sign up for, or is it just an ongoing thing for as long as the person wants to?
It's an ongoing thing as long as you want to.
When you felt you've learned enough, you can stop or whatever. You don't sign a contract for X number of months.
No, there's no contract. You can do it for 1 month and quit if you want. Although,
Yeah, what would you learn?
yeah, it wouldn't make sense, right?
Right.
How much changing of your website structure would affect your findability search engine?
Very little. I'm going to answer that question a little bit differently because I have this conversation with lots of people. What should my website look like? And the answer is, nobody's coming. Who cares? Right? Crank out some content, gather your audience, make a little money, and then make it pretty. Right? The best thing that can happen is somebody leaves a comment and says, gee, you have an ugly website. Right? Because that means a real reader found your website and cared enough to say something. So in the early days, it doesn't matter. Nobody's coming, so don't sweat it.
If you're attracting website designers, who say, oh, I can help fix up your website, contact me, some companies that contact us. What does that mean about who else might be finding you or not finding you?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Website designers are looking for more business. They come across websites that are not optimized. Blogging is one form of optimization. What about just the structure of the website itself, the content of it?
Well, if I understand the question, I have two different answers from two different perspectives. So from the perspective of the website designer who's looking for more business, blogging will bring them business. That's one answer. From the perspective of the website owner who wants a pretty website, I always advise people, worry about gathering your audience first, and worry about how pretty it looks second. Does that answer your question?
Give Kevin a big round of applause. Thank you very much, Kevin.